When I opened the college portal and saw the red notice, payment required, tuition unpaid, my stomach dropped. I'd been accepted into my dream university. Everything was supposed to be perfect. But what hit me harder than the debt was the truth behind it. My parents, who had promised since I was a kid that they'd pay for college, had spent my entire tuition fund. Not on bills. Not on emergencies. But on my dad's new truck and my mom's side business, an online boutique that never even launched. When I confronted them, they shrugged like it was nothing. My dad said, "You're an adult now, Isabella. Time to figure things out yourself." My mom added, "College isn't everything. Maybe if you worked harder, you'd appreciate money more." I remember standing there, tears burning my eyes, realizing I wasn't their daughter anymore. I was their mistake to correct. That night, I made a promise: if they wouldn't invest in me, I'd invest in myself. And one day, they'd regret every word. I was 19, freshly graduated from high school in a small town in Texas. I'd worked part-time at a coffee shop, while maintaining a 4.0 GPA. My dream was to study architecture. I'd gotten into the University of Austin with partial scholarships, but the rest depended on the college fund my parents had promised. Growing up, I believed we were a close-knit family. Sunday dinners, backyard barbecues, movie nights, all the clichés. My parents weren't rich, but they were proud. My dad worked as a mechanic. My mom stayed home most of my childhood, later trying to start small businesses that never stuck. I always thought they wanted the best for me. That illusion shattered the day I learned the college fund I'd been told about for years didn't exist anymore. They had used it without telling me. To make it worse, they blamed me. "You could have applied to cheaper schools," my mom said. "You're too picky." That was the moment I realized their love came with conditions. I moved out 2 weeks later with $312 in my bank account, a duffel bag, and a stubborn belief that I'd make it, no matter what. Moving out was terrifying. I rented a tiny studio apartment near campus, juggling 3 part-time jobs, coffee shop mornings, grocery store evenings, and overnight shifts at a gas station. I barely slept. I ate ramen for weeks. There were nights I cried so hard I thought I'd choke. But I refused to call home. One night, during my shift, a regular customer named Mara noticed me sketching building designs on napkins between orders. She asked about them, and when I told her about my situation, she smiled and said, "You've got talent. Why don't you sell those?" Sell my sketches? I'd never thought of that. She helped me set up an Etsy shop. I named it Blueprint Dreams. At first, I sold custom room layouts and design prints for $10 each. I didn't expect much, but within weeks, orders started coming in. People loved the designs. I reinvested everything into better tools, software, and marketing. For the first time, I saw a light, a way to make it on my own. But then, just when things were finally improving, my mom called out of the blue. "Your dad lost his job. Can you help out with the mortgage this month?" I froze. I hadn't heard from them in months. Suddenly, when they needed money, I was their daughter again. "Please, Isabella," my mom begged over the phone. "They might take the house. You're doing so well now, right?" Her voice trembled, that guilt tone she'd perfected. I wanted to scream. I was barely surviving, still behind on my own rent. But she didn't care. She only cared about what I could do for them. "I don't have money to give you," I said. "You took mine." Silence. Then my dad grabbed the phone. "You're being ungrateful. We raised you. You owe us that much." Oh? That word broke me. After that call, I sat in the dark, shaking. I realized my parents didn't see me as their child anymore. I was just their backup plan. So I decided something that night. I'd build myself up so high that I'd never need them again. And one day, I'd flip the script. For the next 2 years, I worked like someone possessed. I woke up at 5 a.m., studied architecture classes online, fulfilled Etsy orders, and still clocked in at the cafe. My designs got featured by a small home decor influencer, and suddenly, blueprint dreams exploded. Orders flooded in. Within months, I made more online than all my part-time jobs combined. I moved to a bigger apartment. Bought better equipment. Every sale was proof. I didn't need their money, their validation, or their apologies. Then, out of nowhere, my dad called again. "We're proud of you, kiddo," he said, voice strangely soft. "Maybe you could help your mom expand her boutique. You've got business sense." It was almost funny. The same people who'd told me to figure things out myself now wanted my help. I played nice. I said, maybe someday. But inside, I was already planning something else. Something that would truly teach them the value of what they'd thrown away. By 23, I'd grown Blueprint Dreams into a full-fledged design studio. I hired freelancers, landed clients for small business interiors, and even collaborated with local builders. My brand was thriving: clean aesthetics, emotional storytelling, the girl who built her future from nothing. And then it happened, a viral video. A YouTuber featured my story, calling me the self-made student architect. Overnight, I gained 200K followers. Money wasn't just trickling in, it was pouring. I finally paid off my student loans. Then, one day, I drove past my parents' house. The same house they'd almost lost. The grass was overgrown. Paint peeling. It looked smaller. That's when I learned the truth: the mortgage was 3 months behind. My parents were about to lose the home they'd once refused to sell to pay my tuition. Something inside me twisted, a mix of satisfaction and sadness. I could let them lose it. Or I could buy it. I contacted the bank anonymously and asked about the house. The mortgage balance was $128,000. I had the money. Easily. So, I made an offer, in cash. Under an LLC I created. A month later, the house was mine. Legally. My parents had no idea. When the foreclosure notice came, they called me, panicked. "We're losing everything," my mom cried. I stayed calm. "I know someone who might buy it," I said. They begged me to help negotiate, and I did. I met them at the closing meeting, signed the papers, and when my dad asked who the buyer was, I slid the final document across the table. It read, "Owner, Isabella Hart Design LLC." The look on their faces was priceless. My mom went pale. My dad's jaw dropped. I leaned forward and said softly, "You wouldn't pay for my education, so I decided to pay for your home." For a moment, no one spoke. Then my dad exploded. "You did this to humiliate us." I stood up. "No. I did this to show you what I became without you." My mom broke down crying. "We were scared, Isabella. We thought you'd fail. We didn't want you to waste your life on a dream." That hurt more than the betrayal. They didn't just doubt me, they feared my potential. I handed them a set of papers. "You can stay in the house. I'll cover the mortgage. But the deed is in my name." They were silent. My dad refused to sign at first, pride in his eyes. But eventually, he did. When they left, I sat in the empty living room, the same one where they once told me I wasn't good enough, and cried for hours. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was closure, months passed. I kept the house in their name unofficially, paying taxes and upkeep quietly. My business grew beyond anything I'd imagined. Then, one day, I got a call. My mom's voice was soft. "We want to see you." I hesitated, but agreed. When I visited, the house looked beautiful again. They'd painted it, fixed the porch, and my dad had planted flowers out front. Inside, it smelled like cinnamon, my favorite scent as a kid. My mom hugged me for the first time in years. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "You were right to chase your dreams. We should have believed in you." My dad nodded, eyes wet. "You didn't just build a business, Izzy. You built yourself." For the first time, I felt peace, not because I'd won, but because I'd finally been seen. A year later, I paid off the house completely, quietly. My parents never knew until the bank sent them a letter stamped, "Paid in full." They called me crying. My mom said, "You didn't have to do that." "I know," I said. "But I wanted to." Because this time, it wasn't about revenge. It was about freedom. I built my life brick by brick, not just to prove them wrong, but to prove to myself that pain can build foundations stronger than fear. Now, every time I drive by that house, the one they almost lost, I smile. Because that's where my story started, and where I finally ended the cycle. Today, Blueprint Dreams has offices in 3 states. I speak at colleges, telling students that sometimes the people who love you most can hurt you the deepest, not out of cruelty, but out of fear. I forgave my parents, but I never forgot the lesson: believe in yourself even when no one else does. Because sometimes, the people who close doors for you are unknowingly pushing you toward a bigger one. And when you finally walk through it, you don't slam it behind you, you hold it open. So yeah, they refused to pay my tuition. But I paid off their mortgage. And that, I think, is what real success feels like.